Now, before we get into comparing and ordering, let's think about measuring length. We are going to ask students to measure length. Maybe they're measuring the length of this rope. And here I'm going to ask them to use a unit that is equal in length and aligned with the length being measured. So maybe we use these index cards. And for us students to use these index cards to measure this length of this rope, we want to place them without gaps or overlaps. So we don't want it to look like this or that. No, that's not good. We want our index cards to be placed like this so that I can see that I have a length of this rope of 4 index cards. Initially, we'll use a lot of stuff with whole numbers. Later on, we can get into fractions and decimals. Now let's first think about comparing. When we are asking students to compare, we're first going to think about teaching length comparison. So here we will do some direct comparisons and then maybe later some indirect comparisons. We'll do a lot with whole numbers of units, and then we can use units of different lengths and then describe how that measurement is related to the size of the unit. Now that's a lot of information. Let's look at some pictures to help us think about this comparing of length. So here is our example. Use a ruler to find the length of each object in inches and then describe which object is longest. So I'm going to scoot out of the way so we can see, well, I don't need to scoot totally out of the way, I'll just scoot over here to the side. So I've got different things that I can measure by length. So I can measure these trains, I can measure this is a paintbrush here, right, how many inches it is. I can measure the length of this phone, and I can measure the length of this toothpaste. And then once I do that, then I can figure out which object is longest. The question could also be which is shortest, and then later on you could actually order these lengths. So there's a lot of crossover between comparing and ordering. What you will see with these activities is that they're very hands-on. I could have told students the length of each of these, but it's more important for students to figure out that length themselves. Have an opportunity to measure with index cards or paper clips, some of those non-standard units of measurement, and then have a lot of opportunities to measure with our standard units of measurement, particularly inches and feet, and some students might work in centimeters and other units of measurement. Now, as we compare, one of the things that I want to think about often is the vocabulary that's involved in comparison. So I'd like you to think about what are 5 to 10 vocabulary terms that are important for your students to know so that they can compare. So maybe it's inches and feet, but maybe you're also thinking about longest and shortest. What are some of the other vocabulary terms that would be important to emphasize here?